Good afternoon, everyone. If you noticed that, like in the past couple weeks, that my Facebook posts have been rather strange and cryptic and sort of out of character for me, I just wanted to take a couple minutes and tell you why. So I gave my testimony in church and I bawled through the whole thing, cried. And I hope that I can get through this without crying too much. If I do, please forgive me. But, here goes. I have notes. So hopefully I'll stay on track. So here goes. Let's see. On December 18th, 2018, I had a routine physical, and the doctor was poking and prodding like they do on all physicals, and she found something in my lower abdominal area that didn't quite seem right. So she wanted to send me for an ultrasound, and I was, like, okay, didn't really like the idea of that. So she's gonna send me for an ultrasound, and because I'm a woman of a certain age, she said, well, since you're already there for your ultrasound, you should go and have your mammogram done, your routine mammogram. So I said, okay. So then I went to get both of these done on January 8th. Very unpleasant. And I send them a text message because I don't call people. I don't like to. And, I was occupied on January 14th. And I get a call back a little bit later, and they're like, well, the thing in your abdomen is not that bad. Usually they would do surgery on it, but it's really not bad enough for surgery. So what we're going to do is we're going to monitor it. And at that time, I would swear on the Bible that they said that my mammogram was fine. So I'm going through life, everything's fine and dandy, and these things that I have to get done are over until next year. Well, on February 1st, I got a letter from the radiology lab, and I was like, what is this? What's going on? Usually there's something with my insurance and they want me to pay for it, and so I thought that's what it was. And I open it up, and they say, we found something on your mammogram, and we require you to come in for further imaging. And I'm sitting there, and I'm in denial. My mammogram was fine. What are they talking about? These people are crazy. My mammogram was fine. And I put the letter down for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And I think, well, I really need to confirm with the doctor's office what they told me, just in case, because we need to confirm that these people don't know what they're talking about. So I try to send them an email, and I can't. They're like, if you need to contact us, give us a phone call. So I end up calling them, and I say, I got this letter from the radiology lab, and they say I need further imaging. And why is that? Because you told me my mammogram was fine. And the nurse I spoke to, she's very matter of fact. She was not rude. There's a difference. She just knew what she was about. She was very straightforward. She said, no, we didn't. We did not tell you your mammogram was fine because we didn't know. We don't even have that imaging yet. So you need to call the radiology people, and you need to tell them to fax this over so we can see it. And I'm like confused by now. I'm like, okay. So I call radiology, they fax it over. I'm giving them a couple minutes to get it and look at it and, all that. And they call me. And this nurse, who was so matter of fact at first, is like, tells me, there is something on your mammogram. It is round. We need to look into it. We need to find out what it could be. And I say, because it could be. And she's like, she even knew. She's like, yes. you need further imaging, you need to call and schedule an appointment for this imaging as soon as possible. We really need to look into this. So I call back radiology and I make an appointment. I want it early as possible in the morning. I make an appointment for 10:15 a.m. because when you have a mammogram, you can't wear deodorant. And that bugs me. So I make it for 10:15 a.m. And before, so I have a week. It's Friday the 1st of February, and I have a whole week to think about things. So then, I'm like going in between faith and fear. Honestly, if I told you that I was like okay with this and at peace with it the whole time, I would have been lying. So, I'm waiting for this imaging. It's a week later. I didn't tell a lot of people because, I'm afraid that sometimes people can be negative, and I didn't need any negativity at this moment. I needed people to be positive and sprinkle sunshine all over me. So, the two things that helped me out immensely, I cannot say thank you enough to the women that I confided in that I was going through this. Thank you. And my faith in God. That's what got me through this. Faith and a couple of friends that I could tell this to. And so it used to be that whenever I would have, issues like this, something like this, I would have been, if it had even been in December, 2018, not even 3 months ago, previously, I'd have been like mad at God. I would have said, why, God? Why is this happening to me? Haven't I been good enough? It's not about being good enough. It's not. So instead of being mad at God, I decided that I would dig in and I would become closer to God, and I would do my devotions just like I always did, and listen to praise music. And like one of the devotional books I do is the Book of Secrets by Jonathan Cahn. I'm just trying to think stuff floating around in my head. So every single devotional that week spoke to what I was going through. It was amazing. And the songs that would play on my music were like, Even When It Hurts by Hillsongs. That's like my new favorite song because some people might have a problem with it because one of the lines in it is, even when it hurts like hell, I'll praise you. And, I know people have a problem with the word hell, but honestly, this hurt like hell. It really did. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is I had this foreign invader in my body, and I just, would listen to that song, and I dug in. I went to church. I decided that, that I would be thankful for this even in my suffering, and I had to stay positive and believe that this test would become a testimony. And we have Romans 8:28. Let me see if I can find it real quick because I put little bookmarkers in here. But Romans 8:28, Thessalonians, I'm a little bit too far. It's like I bookmarked everything so that I could find it, and now I'm like, but Romans 8:28, one of the verses I found of comfort was, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." So that's the NIV. So I had to believe that. And I was going to be thankful even in my suffering. 1 Thessalonians 5. Let's see. "Be joyful always. Pray continually. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." So, yeah, that was one of my verses of comfort. And, I wish I could always say that I had felt peace and I felt the way that I was supposed to as this mighty, victorious servant of God. And, well, I didn't. I had moments of fear, abject fear. I would have I would be getting ready for church and I'd be curling my hair, fixing my hair, trying to make myself pretty for church. And I would have this thought pop in my head, and it would say, "You like your hair, don't you?" And I think, yeah, I like my hair. It's baby fine. It's like a spider web sometimes, but I like my hair. And then this thought, well, get ready to say goodbye to it because you're going to go through chemotherapy and you're going to lose all of it. So I'm just like, after that happened 2 or 3 times, I was just finally like, you know what, Satan? You send your little minions to mess with me and get in my head and put little earwigs in my ears. And all I can say is, not today, Satan. I got a t-shirt. I meant to wear it during this video, but, I'll take a picture of it. Yeah, but like I said, I would just say, not today, Satan, whenever those little things those little earwigs would pop in my head. And I totally believed that, this was awful. This was awful what I was going through. But, God was going to work it out. Even if it didn't work out the way I thought it should work out, I really believed that God was going to work it out. It's like what Satan meant for evil, God was going to work it out for my good. And that's Genesis 50:20. That's a paraphrase. That's not word for word. And then 1 John 4:4. Let's see. "You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." So yeah, I serve God. And I believe that, he's in me. And he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. Satan, his little minions, I don't, I say Satan, but really, seriously, I'm not that big a deal. He just sends his little foxes to spoil the vineyard. His little minions, his little boogers. He doesn't, I don't get picked on by Satan personally. That's the whole. So I had to believe that this would be a testimony. And one time when I was having I was at Costco, we were waiting for a parking space, and I was having this moment where, I was just filled with anxiety and worry over the whole situation. And we couldn't find a parking space anywhere. It was a Saturday. It was Saturday, February the 2nd. And that's the washing machine. Sorry, I'm in the basement. But it's Saturday, February the 2nd, and I'm having a moment, and I'm thinking, I have this foreign invader, and I have to get more imaging, and what's going on, and Lord, what? Lord, help me, Lord, what is going on? And so, right at that moment, we couldn't find, it was Saturday, we couldn't find a parking space. And right at that moment, as we were getting ready to leave, not one, but 2 parking spaces opened up right close to each other. 2 parking spaces opened up right close to each other. And I honestly believe I heard the voice of God, and he said, if I care for you, that I would provide you with not one, but 2 parking spaces, then don't you think I care about this big thing that you're going through? Of course I do. I care for you and this big thing that you're going through. And you don't see the end, but I see the end. I wrote your story. I provided for you when you didn't even know I could. Okay, I wasn't gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. But yeah, that's what I felt he was saying to me. He was saying, I provided for you when you didn't even know I could provide for you. Don't you think I'm going to, that I know this? This didn't catch me as a surprise. I already knew it was going to happen. All you need to do is just trust. No matter what happens, it might not happen the way you think it's supposed to, but just trust me. So I was like, okay, so, and I believe I said, because, previously, this would have just thrown me for a loop. I just would have been mad at God, like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you allowing this to happen to me? Aren't I good enough? So instead of doing that, I decided to do the exact opposite, and I decided to trust him. I decided to, pray and praise and thank the Lord and listen to good Christian worship music and songs like Even If by Mercy Me, that say, even if you don't, my heart is yours alone and I will praise you. Because, things don't always work out the way we want them to, but they are. So then, in the morning of my test, I'm sitting there and I'm like thinking, oh Lord, please, this office, they run late. Unless you're like one of the first people there, they always run late. And please let them be running on time. And so I felt okay. And I was sitting there and in the doctor's office, and I was anxious. I was nervous. And then, my appointment was 10:15, so then it was like 10:20, 10:25, 10:30, and instead of feeling more anxious and more anxiety, I kind of look up, and all of a sudden, like, it just hit me like a sunbeam on the top of my head. Have you ever been out in, like, on a spring day when it's cloudy and it's cool, and like the clouds open up and one sunbeam hits you and it just feels like a warm blanket covering you? That's how I felt. That peace that just hit me, and it was warm and it was comforting, and it was the peace that passes all understanding. It was Philippians 4, 6, and 7. So and I'm sitting in the doctor's office, and I want to laugh and I want to cry, because all of a sudden, I go from anxiety to peace. And the only thing that could have calmed my anxious heart like that is God. I mean, because I was pretty anxious. I brought a book to read. I couldn't even read it. Couldn't even focus on the page because of what was going through my mind. So finally, they take me back to get my thing done, and I'm sitting there, and they do the mammogram, and they send me out, and I have to wait because they have to review it to see if I need more images. And then they do the ultrasound, and then sitting there, and I have to wait because they need to see if they need more images, and they did need more images. And so in the end, they found out that, it's just a cyst. It's probably not cancer. And I'm going to speak it. It's not cancer. And I have to have follow-up imaging done later, 6 months from now. But you know what I'm going to believe? I'm going to believe that in 6 months, I'm going to go back and have my mammogram, and they're going to say, Miss Smith, this cyst is gone. It's not there anymore. It is gone. They don't disappear, but this one is gone. So that's what I'm going to believe. And if you want to believe that with me, please do. If you want to believe something else, please withdraw. If you're not going to believe with me and I don't receive anything other than it's gone, it's not there anymore. So this is the true and faithful account. Oh, I have another story before I end it, and because I was, in one of my times I was worrying, and I have these 2 sweet little doggies. They're sweet. They're both stray. I feed them every day, twice a day, and they get good premium food. Well, they will go out and, root around on the ground and look for trash and eat trash, because in their past lives before they came to live with me and I came to know them and care for them, that's how they survived. So I was, worried because I have some family that have some other health problems, and if I'm gone and this other person's gone, then who's going to take care of my mom and stuff like that. And so that day I had been out with my dogs and they had found some trash to eat. I don't even know what it was. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. Shudder. So I yelled at my dogs. I'm like, silly girls, don't I provide for you? Ever since you came to live with me and you came to know me as your mistress, I provide for you. You've never gone without. I would never let you go without. So, I'm sitting there and I'm worrying and, all these thoughts are just swirling around in my head. And I think I hear God again. And he says, okay, I'm not going to cry. He says, silly girl, don't I provide for you? Haven't I provided for you ever since you came to know me? I provided for you even when you didn't know I could. So, that's the message of my faith and my testimony that, God provided for me. And if I could go back and not go through any of this, I would do it. But if I can help someone else through a dark time in their life, then it will all be worth it. And this is true to the best of my knowledge and ability. And I hope and pray for you, if you watch this, that you find the peace that I have found despite your circumstances, despite what comes back from your test, from your testing, from your imaging. And I hope that y'all have a good evening, because it's evening by now. It's time to start cooking dinner. And I hope I will see you later. Thank you. Oh, and if you think this could help someone else, please feel free to share it. Not because of me, but because, I felt a lot, the friends that I did share with, they had been through stuff like what I was going through. So if you think it could help someone else, share it with my blessing. And thank you for listening to me for all this time. I really appreciate it. And may you find the faith and peace in God and Jesus. Can't forget about Jesus. I love him too. And maybe I'll talk to y'all later. I'll post another video like this. Thank you. Bye.